No queues or paperwork. Now Ukrainians can process documents faster and easier. Moreover, this also applies to formalization of foreign passports and internal passports in the form of an ID card. An online service for formalization of such documents is now operational in Ukraine. The migration service is still being reformed. Foreign passports can now be formalized regardless of place of registration. According to calculations, 5 million people live in Kiev or go to work there. They also do paperwork in Kiev. The demand is very high, and the popularity of the service shows that more jobs have to be created. Today, one administration services center in Kiev formalizes passports and ID cards. The Kiev administration plans to equip all administrative services centers with specialized workstations in the coming months. Doing that will reduce the queues. The changes in the department are taking place as one of the requirements for joining the European Union.
Із зрушень я би ще хотіла відмітити дуже важливу річ, яка стосується обміну інформації.
I would like to mention one thing in particular among the changes: information exchange. It is obvious that the European Union is now suffering from a migration crisis.
Є колосальний запит на
There is a huge demand for comprehensive and adequate information about the risks of migration, especially from Ukraine, as Ukraine will undergo post-liberalization monitoring to be granted a visa-free regime.
Буде проходити так званий постлібералізаційний моніторинг.
This means that the migration service will be entrusted with great responsibility. After all, it is one of those institutions that form the country's migration profile. To that end, there are plans to strengthen the personnel department and its resources. The migration service not only does paperwork, which is one of the functions that citizens see, but it also opposes illegal immigration and works with refugees and foreigners. Ukraine is not a country of migration risk, so we do not threaten Europe or other countries. Both our European colleagues and international experts admit that. According to MP Ruslan Sidovorich, we are on the way to being granted not only the visa-free regime, but also monitoring of fulfillment of our obligations. And given the serious migration crisis in Europe, the supervision of the European Union will be very serious and vigilant.
Україна знаходиться в особливій зоні, скажімо так, ризику в плані міграційних процесів.
Ukraine is in a special risk zone in terms of migration processes in the context of the conflict with Russia. Since there is a de facto border between Ukraine and the Ukrainian occupied territories in the east and in the south, since there is a de facto border between Ukraine and the Ukrainian occupied territories in the east and the south, and special obligations have been imposed on Ukraine, we understand the concern of the European Union about the influx of migrants. The country that gets the visa-free regime assumes the corresponding obligations on the readmission of persons who may have been banished from the European Union and will then have to be deported by Ukraine to their countries of origin. The reforms in the department continue. Currently, the migration service is working on the introduction of ID cards. On the 1st of January 2015, we began issuing biometric passports for travelling abroad. From January the 1st, 2016, we've begun to reform the introduction of ID cards. From January the 1st, 2016, we began the reform of the introduction of ID cards. They are not based on a paper form that is stored in an archive, rather on a new electronic system of state demographic registry. This is the main reform we have begun. We have been preparing for it for a long time. So far, about 350,000 ID cards and 2.5 million biometric documents for travelling abroad have been issued. If we ask whether the migration service has changed enough after several years, particularly after the start of the visa liberalization, then it must be said that it has changed quite a lot. First and foremost, it has changed from a legal standpoint.
Візової лібералізації, то треба сказати, що суттєво змінилася. І в першу чергу суттєво змінилась вона законодавчо.
The department plans to launch a document validity checking service in the nearest future, said the head of the service, Maxim Sokoluk. The introduction of online services in all departments of the migration service of Ukraine is also planned, and experts stress that a new concept of migration policy has to be adopted, which is currently being publicly discussed.